Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kodash, double honors unto the elders and apostles of great millstone that rule well. Shalom to the 144,000 elect men of the nation of Israel and the rest of the elect destined to be saved. I'm the brother Caleb from the GMS UK London Forecasters Camp, back with another lesson to help edify those of which I spoke of. I always like to start by saying that we are the real Hebrew Israelites, and the real Israelites are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians, West Africans predominantly, but you will find Israelites that do look like the other nations, because we as a people have been scattered among all the nations through our various captivities. But if your seed line by your forefathers goes back to the man in the Bible named Israel, then you too are an Israelite, no matter what you may look like, because Numbers 1 and verse 18 tells you that your nationality is determined by the lineage of your forefathers. So I wanted to do a lesson going into why the mark of the beast is not sin, because some people try and say that the mark of the beast is sin, which is a false teaching. It's not true, and I'm going to prove that with some precepts here. So first of all, we'll start with Revelation 13:16. It says, he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So that's the prophecy about the mark being instituted. Now, if the mark of the beast was sin, then let me get this precept. Well, first of all, let's deal with what is sin. We'll go to 1 John 3 and verse 4. What is sin? Let's define that. Because a lot of people throw these terms around, but I don't think they really understand what they mean. So it says, whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is transgression of the law. Read that again. For whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is transgression of the law. So that's what sin is. Now, let me explain. If sin is transgression of the law and taking the mark is sin, then we'd all be guilty of that, because the scriptures say this. This is Romans 3 and 23. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of the Most High God. So we've all sinned. So if taking the mark of the beast is sin, then we'd all be guilty of taking it. How could that be so? Because we're supposed to be able to resist it, and that's the part of the hour of temptation, to see who the Lord's elect are. The elect aren't going to take the mark. So if everybody has sinned and come short of the glory, that means everybody's taken the mark. Everybody's guilty. So who then could resist it? So it doesn't make any sense. This is Revelation 15 and verse 2. Read from verse 1. It says, and I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvellous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of the Most High God. And I saw, as it were, a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of God. So how could we get that victory if we're all guilty of sin? Because it said, all have sinned and come short of the glory of the Most High God. See, even Yahushua sinned. He didn't sin in that incarnation when he was Yahushua, but in his previous incarnations, such as Adam, Isaac, Solomon, Yahushua went off and sinned. That's why he had to pay for his sins when he came back as Yahushua from his previous incarnations. So, who then could resist the mark? Because we're not on the level of Yahushua to live a life without sin in this go-around or any other go-around. Yahushua is the only one to do that, which is why he was the lamb without blemish, the perfect sacrifice. But, who then could resist the mark? That makes it impossible. So that means that the mark cannot be sin. Now we can go back into the breakdown of the root word charagma here for mark. It says a stamp or imprinted mark of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as a badge to followers of the Antichrist. A mark branded upon horses, thin carved sculpture, graven work. So it's a stamp or an imprinted mark. So that's not what sin is. Sin isn't a stamp or an imprinted mark. Sin is simply transgression of the law. So going back to Revelation 14:9, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. So how can sin be just applied to your forehead or to your hand? Sin is transgression of the law. If you sin, you sin. If you don't, you don't. This is something that applies to your whole body. It's like it doesn't make any sense. Right? It says, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up for ever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here is they that keep the commandments of the Most High, and the faith of Yahushua. So I'll ask a question. Did King David have the mark? Because if we go to Psalms 51, Psalms 51, to the chief musician, a psalm of David, when Nathan the prophet came unto him after he had gone into Bathsheba. So King David committed a sin. He committed adultery with Uriah's wife. And then later he had Uriah murdered. So King David committed sin. And this is the thing, it's like, there was a time when I bumped into a guy I used to go to school with. And he's a Muslim and he doesn't know the truth. And he's a heathen. But I was walking home from camp one day and he saw me and he started talking to me. And he was telling me about Islam and all this kind of rubbish. And I asked him what a prophet was. And he said to me, "Our prophet's a person who lived a perfect life and never committed any sins." So I said to him, "Was King David a prophet?" He said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, did not King David sin? Did he not commit murder and adultery?" And he's saying, "Nah, but nah." And I said, "Well, look, how was Solomon conceived? Was he not the child of Bathsheba? And who was Bathsheba's husband before King David? Uriah." And he had no answers for me, and he got all flustered, and he wanted to terminate the conversation and scoot down the road, which is fine by me. But the point of the matter is that he in his Islamic mindset was under the impression that there are people who never commit sin, and they're the holy prophets, and they don't understand the truth. They don't understand what these words actually mean, and they throw them around, and it's like just buzzword terms with no understanding and no meaning. So he didn't even understand what sin was, that is transgression of the law, as most people don't. They just don't understand. So when you got these people coming up saying that the mark is sin, it comes from a great lack of understanding in terms of what these things actually mean. So let's get back to it, right? Psalms 51 and 1. Have mercy upon me, O Most High God, according to thy loving kindness. According to the multitude of thy tender mercies, blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. So did King David have the mark of the beast? If the mark of the beast is sin. If the mark of the beast is sin, then that would be yes. But I'm showing you clearly that it's not sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee, thee only have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. There you go. So the mark of the beast is not sin. There's no way it can be sin at all, because if it was sin, everybody would be guilty of it, and we'd all face the judgment that I read in Revelation 14 and 9. We'd all be guilty, and we'd all suffer the punishment of having taken the mark. The mark is going to be something that you're going to be able to resist and not take. I read that in Revelation 15, didn't I? Just check. Yeah. And I saw Revelation 15 and 2, and I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of the Most High God. And they sing the song of Moses, the servant of the Most High, and the song of the Lamb, saying, Great and marvelous are thy works, Lord, power, almighty, and just and true are thy ways, O King of the saints. So they're going to get the victory over the mark. They're not going to take it. There's going to be elect that's going to be able to resist that mark and not take it. And they'll be able to do what's prophesied here in Revelation 15 and verse 2. So that's the lesson. The mark of the beast is not sin. Just proving it with a few precepts here. So Lord willing, that's been edifying. So with that, giving all praise and honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, HaKadosh, double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well. Shalom to the 144,000 elect men of the nation of Israel, and the rest of the elect destined to be saved. And I'll catch you on the next lesson, Lord willing. Shalom for now. Shalom.